the question that is begging for answer, that keeps begging for answer, is not that whether President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and this All Progressives Congress should go in 2027, but that which political party and which presidential candidate is positioned to take over in 2027. That is the issue. It is not about Tinubu should go or not go. Obviously, objectively speaking, the so-called All Progressives Congress has been retrogressing Nigeria since 2015 till date, worse than ever before. If only for adding herdsmen terrorism to the war against the Boko Haram Muslim community. And old men presidents, Muhammadu Buhari and Bola Ahmed Tinubu, doubling themselves as Nigeria's petroleum minister without any improvement in the oil sector, other than for Bola Ahmed Tinubu to claim that the non-existent fuel subsidy is gone and that all other subsidies are gone. Yet paying workers less than living wage and sinking the country in debt. The worsening mass abject poverty is fueling insecurity in mushrooming armed bandits, mushrooming armed robbers, and terrorist organizations. All of these are obvious and need no argument. But the question, which political party and which presidential candidate has been positioned to take over? A political party and presidential candidate in whom Nigerians can repose their confidence and go all out to support to win the elections in 2027. That's the question. That's the question begging for answer. In 2015, the so-called All Progressives Congress has had a clear cut mission. The presidential candidate was known to all Nigerians, ab initio, except that the coalition, the so-called All Progressives Congress coalition, used pure deception or deceptions to fool Nigerians, saying we will sell petroleum 50 naira per liter. We will provide security. We will develop agriculture. We will provide electricity. We will provide water, and so on. And since then, 2015 till date, none of the above. In fact, there's no area you can say, this is where the so-called All Progressive Congress has made progress in the economy or in the security situation of Nigeria. Rather, armed bandit gangs are expanding their coasts to areas where they were never imagined up to January this year, giving Kwara State as an example, North and South started experiencing armed bandit attacks. And Ondo State, along with Kogi State, receiving threats of orchestrated armed bandit attacks. Kano State is just passing through its own experience too. We should know that in 2015, before the so-called All Progressives Congress got power, terrorism, governmental terrorism against the Boko Haram Muslim community was limited to Borno State. Yes. But under the so-called All Progressives Congress, expanded to Zamfara and even Katsina State, where the late President Muhammadu Buhari came from. Zamfara, Katsina State, Sokoto State, Kaduna State, and other states in the north and east of the north, in the northwest and northeast, and in the north central. Benue State has become a weeping child, along with Plateau State, experiencing devastating, catastrophic attacks from herdsmen terrorists, as if you are talking of ethnic and religious cleansing in Benue State and Plateau State, and some other states like that, under the so-called All Progressives Congress. And so the brains of those trooping into the APC should be examined by psychiatrists. But for the rest of Nigerians, the question: which political party, which presidential candidate has been positioned to take over in 2027? Because when you talk of the African Democratic Congress, which is a coalition of political parties and opposition politicians assembled by the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who did it for his own self-elevation, to realize his presidential ambition. Then you ask yourself, what is the difference between Atiku Abubakar and Bola Ahmed Tinubu? They both eulogized Muhammadu Buhari, not minding his 8 brutal years. Worse still, in the second term of Muhammadu Buhari, which is the more reason Nigerians must avoid the re-election of Bola Ahmed Tinubu like a plague. Because if his first term is like this, no, stop that your dream that the second term is for to perfect what he did. What is he perfecting? He will perfect when subsidy is gone, all other subsidies are gone, and paying workers less than living wage, and sinking Nigeria in debts, internal and external debts, as it has now come out that internal debts of government is higher than ever before under the same so-called All Progressive Congress of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Hence I say those trooping into his party And those clamoring to work for his re-election, even when they don't belong to his party, their brains need to be examined by psychiatric experts. But otherwise, for the rest of Nigerians, the question is still, which political party, which presidential candidate has been positioned to take over in 2027, around which Nigerians can rally? As for the APC in 2015. But of course, Nigerians were careless in 2015. They listened to the empty promises of the APC and Muhammadu Buhari. They didn't pay attention to the campaign poster of Muhammadu Buhari, "I will defeat Boko Haram," indicating that he was coming to perpetrate the war, as did Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. And of course, worse than that, added S-men terrorism. Worse than that, doubled himself as Nigeria's petroleum minister and accounting for nothing, whether as the president or as petroleum minister, for 8 brutal years in the experience of Nigerians, with particular reference to his second term. Changing the face of the naira. And cash crunch became the order of the day. Only for Bola Ahmed Tinubu to come and claim that the non-existent fuel subsidy is gone as an excuse to escalate fuel price to exorbitant levels. Yet, paying workers less than living wage, sinking Nigeria in debt, internally and externally. Oh my God. Oh my God. So, Nigerians, the real issue, which opposition political party, which presidential candidate are Nigerians to rally around? I hope it's not the African Democratic Party in the pocket of Atiku Abubakar. That's my concern. Because I cannot see the difference between Atiku Abubakar and Bola Ahmed Tinubu, age-wise and in terms of mentality, of someone who cares less about political order, political justice, and equity, without which you cannot have peace and plenty. And that has been the experience since 2009, when the Nigeria's rulers started the war against the Boko Haram Muslim community. And that has become the preoccupation. That became the preoccupation of Yaradua, Umaru Musa Yaradua, and his vice president, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, who succeeded him and perpetrated the war for 4 years. Muhammadu Buhari came 8 years. Now Tinubu is at it in his 3rd year of sustaining the war against the Boko Haram Muslim community and S-men terrorism. Plus, fuel subsidy is gone. All other subsidies are gone. Where is the progress? Economically and security-wise, where is the progress? And even where is the prospect of progress? Where is it? Because there's no sign of repentance. When you say you will not dialogue with any armed gang, you will not pay ransom for anybody, Nigerians should defend them. Nigerians should defend themselves without giving them military training and the wherewithal to defend themselves. And if the citizens are defending themselves, what is the responsibility of a government?